Hello, those of you at home. This is our Module 6, Lesson 1, Posing Statistical Questions. I was asked to do a video on this. So we're starting right on page 1. So this first one, it says you're going to learn what's a good statistical question and what's not a good statistical question. And a statistical question is something that you can collect data on and that you can organize it into some kind of a graph to answer a specific question. So that's basically what you're going to be doing today, is saying, yes, it's a statistical question, or no, it's not. So we're going to start with this example 1. Honeybees are important because they produce honey and pollinate plants. Since 2007, there has been a decline in the honeybee population in the United States. Honeybees live in hives, and a beekeeper in Wisconsin notices that this year he has 5 fewer hives of bees than last year. He wonders if other beekeepers in Wisconsin are also losing hives. He decides to survey other beekeepers and ask them if they have fewer hives this year than last year, and if so, how many fewer. He then uses the data to conclude that most beekeepers have fewer hives this year than last, and that a typical decrease is about 4 hives. So he had this problem where he had fewer hives, and so he wondered if others are also doing that. So he surveyed the other beekeepers and asked them if they had fewer hives, and if so, how many fewer. So we talked about how he might have been part of a group, maybe on Facebook, on Instagram, or through some kind of a email with other beekeepers in Wisconsin. So he could electronically survey them and find out about their hives. He gets his data, and now he figured out they're losing hives, and he'll probably use that data now to try to figure out why they're losing hives. So our statistics is about using data to answer questions. And we'll be following 4 steps to work with this. And the steps are here. Step 1, pose a question that can be answered by data. Step 2, determine a plan to collect the data. Step 3, summarize the data by putting it into graphs and numerical summaries. And step 4, you answer the question that you had in step 1. So we'll be doing that throughout working with this module. All right, let me go to see how I go to the next page. All right, so what is a statistical question? So here we have Jerome. He's a 6th grader at Roosevelt Middle School, and he's a huge baseball fan. He loves to collect baseball cards. He has cards of current players and of players from past seasons. With his teacher's permission, he brought them in to school for everybody to look at. Each card has a picture of a current or past Major League Baseball player, along with information about the player. When he placed his cards out for other students to see, they asked Jerome all sorts of questions about his cards. So some of the kids asked, what is Jerome's favorite card? Some asked, what is the typical cost of a card in Jerome's collection? For example, what is the average cost of a card? Others are more of Jerome's cards for current players or for past players. And the last, which card is the newest in his card collection? So what we talked about here was which ones are good statistical questions. So a statistical question is one that can be answered with data. So we have to be able to collect it. A statistical question also has answers that will vary or be different. It is not a one answer thing. So when we look at what is Jerome's favorite card, that only has one answer. So that is not a good statistical question because there's one answer. There's one favorite card. The next one, what is a typical cost of a card in Jerome's collection, is definitely a good statistical question. There's a variety of answers. The cards cost different amounts. And to find the average cost, you would have to collect data on the cost of all of the cards to figure out the average price. The next one, are more of Jerome's cards for current players or for past players? So that one typically, you could think, well, it could be answered by one thing, current or past, but you wouldn't know that unless you collected data. So you would have to collect data on that question to decide what that would be. You have to collect data on the current players, on the past players, so you'd have to check out the different years and when they were playing for each. So that one, you definitely would have a statistical question. Which card is the newest card in Jerome's collection? So the last one, there's really no variability. There's going to be one answer. One card will fit that description. So that one would not be a good statistical question. So now what you are supposed to do is remember which page this was. Let me look real quick. On page 2, 1 through 5, you are supposed to determine whether or not a question is a statistical question and give a reason for your answer. So you should pause this, answer them, and then come back and check your work and see if you were correct. All right, so I'm going to assume you paused it, and now you're coming back to check your work. So who is my favorite movie star? This is not a statistical question. So you would put not statistical. And it's not statistical because it is not answered by collecting data, and there's only one answer. Okay, so you would put not answered by collecting data. And there's one answer. All right. What are the favorite colors of sixth graders in my school? So this is a statistical question. You must collect data. And the answers will be different. That's what the word vary means. It means that they'd be different. Answers will vary. I'm going to put it in parentheses here. Answers will be different. All right. How many years have students in my school's band or orchestra played an instrument? So again, this one is statistical for the same reasons. I'm not going to write this statistical. Make sure I'm spelling correctly. I'm not going to rewrite this every time. So it is statistical because you must collect data and the answers will vary. What is the favorite subject of sixth graders in my school? Again, this one is statistical. I know I'm spelling wrong here. Hold on, let me erase. I'm going too fast because I'm trying to get this done and I'm making mistakes. Is statistical. And again, all the same reasons. How many brothers and sisters does my best friend have? That would not be statistical because you do not need to collect data and there is only one answer. So the same reasons from number 1. Okay, I'm sure you did a great job on those. Now, we're going to talk about the different kinds of data you can have. So the types of data, there's 2 types of data that answer statistical questions. We have numerical data and categorical data. If you recorded the ages of the 25 baseball cards, it would be numerical data. Each value in a numerical data set is a number. So numerical is the same equals number. There will be a number. If we recorded the team of the featured player, you would have categorical data. You still have 25 data values, but they are not numbers. They would be the team names, which you could think of as categories. Okay, so categorical, you want to think of categories. So all you need to do now is look through these and identify whether they're categorical, you put a C, or numerical, you put an N. So take a minute or so to do that, then come back and check your answers. I'm assuming you paused and now you're checking your answers. Heights of 26th graders, that would be numerical. You're going to have numbers for their heights. Favorite flavor of ice cream for 10 6th graders, those would be put into categories. It would be categorical. Hours of sleep on a school night for each of 36th graders. You would be having numerical data there. They're going to give you the number of hours. Type of beverage drunk at lunch for each of 15 6th graders. You would have categories, different categories of different drinks. Eye color for each of 36 graders. Again, a category, different colors of eyes. Number of pencils in the desk of each of 15 6th graders. That would be numbers, so it is numerical. So the work to turn in was the exit ticket, and it was on page 7. And you want to make sure you do the explanations. So with the explanations, you can use what we just did on the slide before for the is it statistical or not statistical. Feel free to use what we wrote there and what we wrote here. Excuse me. And then for numerical or categorical, say whether it has numbers or was put in a category. All right, and the video for lesson 2 will be coming, we're doing lesson 3 next, will be coming shortly.